People need to understand, look, it's high tide right now for Trump and the end of wokeism and all the rest of it. But the reality is, maybe the next election, the one after that, who knows, but the tide is going to go back out. So people need to understand, if you are, like me, excited to see the establishment media copping it, well, guess what? When a Democrat's in there, they're going to boot out a lot of the media that we like, and we can't complain if we are willing to cheer Trump on while he's doing it to his enemies.
Well, and I don't think they are doing a purge. They're trying to realign who gets to be pool, and I used to cover the White House a little bit when I was a young reporter. And you would always just get like pool reports as follows, pool reports, they've called a lid, meaning no more presidential appearances. And then your responsibility kind of closed down because he wasn't going to be coming out. But like when the pool is on, you really do have responsibilities to make sure like you're the eyes and ears of the nation for that moment. It's not like you're in there peppering him with questions. It's not as much an editorial role as it is just like eyes and ears to document what he's doing. And so like on something like that, we have to make sure we have somebody with resources in there covering him so we don't miss a moment and it's not in amateur hands when it comes to the tech, right? I'm thinking about the tech. But what's happening right now to really only the AP, he hasn't really been picking on anybody else, is totally fair game. And I would not complain if a future Democratic administration did this to Fox News or anybody else who leans right in their coverage. All he said was, you don't have the right to come into the Oval. And you don't have the right to come on Air Force One with me. And that's totally fair. There will be somebody from Pool, and there will be any other outlet that he wants to allow in those spots. But there's no right to be in those relatively private spaces for the president with him. AP did not lose their seat in the White House press briefing room, though others are pretending they did. They didn't. They did not. That would be a much bigger deal. Trump stopped at that line because he knew it would be a big one to cross. Do I go into the Oval? I do not. Do I go onto Air Force One with President Trump? No, but you know what? I managed to cover him thanks to Pool, right? I get the reports. Other outlets have access. They tell me what happened. It doesn't allow me to ask all the questions, but AP can do that in the press briefing. So they have no right to be in there. And if I may, like a word on the AP, they're absolutely disgusting. They used to be the gold standard, what we would all defer to when it comes to the way we refer to certain things and events and with the language, because they played it right down the middle. They are far left. They're basically Al Jazeera now. You would not believe the list of things. The gender insanity, 100%. If it's a boy pretending to be a girl, you have to call him she, her. If it's a boy pretending a girl, you have to say he was assigned male at birth. Like it was a sin a doctor committed against him, as opposed to saying he was born a boy because that's what God made him. No, they've abandoned that. After George Floyd, they got rid of the word riot. You couldn't say riot in your reports in the AP anymore. It had to be protests. And then riots were resurrected and allowed only for January 6th. Which could be called not protest, but a riot or an insurrection. Both were fine, but not when you're talking about George Floyd. And when you're on the subject of George Floyd, if you're talking about the looting and the crimes being committed by the protesters, you have to make sure you report on their underlying grievance. Very important. Underlying grievance has to be in there. You can't say Islamic terrorism. You have to talk about they've lost their ever-loving mind. So I don't care that they can't sit next to Trump on Air Force One.
Oh, boom, boom, boom. I love it. I love it. Now, I love this city too. I've been here for Bucks weeks. I've been here with lots of people. I've been here by myself. I've been here with my wife, and I just love the experience of this city. What is Megyn Kelly's Las Vegas story?
I'm going to tell you two things. Number one, I, as a woman, I think had a very different experience than you have had or are having as a man. Every time I've been to Vegas, I've been there maybe 4 times, maybe more. I go to the spa. I go as like a girls trip. I might go with my husband, but you go to the spa and you get a massage and then you go poolside and you have a cocktail and then you put on a slinky dress and you go through the casino and maybe you do a couple of hands of gambling. I like blackjack. I'll do a little roulette. My husband loves craps, so if I'm with him, we'll do that. Maybe you take in a show. That's fun. Do one of the fun like outdoor oxygen tanks. I don't know, the weird stuff, but like very little time actually gambling at a table. So that's number one. And what was the second thing I was going to tell you about Vegas? That what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas and it's none of your damn business.
I love it. I love it. See, this town's got plenty for everyone. I'll see you next week when I'm back in Australia.